I've been interested in audio and recording basically my whole life. My first recording studio was when I was about 14, 15 years old. I took two reel-to-reel recorders, a Philips reel-to-reel and a TEAC reel-to-reel, and I would record on one of them, and then I would play that one back, and while that one was playing back, I would play live and record to the other one, and I keep going bouncing back and forth and back and forth. My first real recording studio was a Tascam 8-track with a Tascam mixing console, and man, we were rocking. In 1989, I built StudioWorks. StudioWorks was a world-class recording studio. I bought a mixing console from Atlantic Records. It was an MCI JH528. As history would be told, this board worked on Led Zeppelin's In Through the Outdoor. We had an MCI JH24 for our multi-track, a 2-inch multi-track, and tons of tube, mic pre's, Pultec, TubeTech, that kind of thing. In 1990-91, we built StudioWorks 2. StudioWorks 2 was in Island Park, New York. We were featured on the cover of Mix magazine. But anyway, Bill Titus was a tech and he designed our studio. It took about 6 months to build. We had a Trident Series 80C. I flew out to California when Trident was in California, Torrance. We bought the console and we brought it back. And in that studio, I had brought over my JH24, and then we also bought a syncing machine, and we had also got a Studer A80, and we would sync those two machines together to get 48 track. Two machines synced up, 48 track. You know, somebody sings a bad vocal, just to rewind and get it back to the spot where they had to punch in. You know, engineers of today would pull their hair out of their heads, but man, that's how we used to make records. So after we closed StudioWorks 2, when Kim and I moved to our house, we built another studio in the house. I went out and I found a Soundcraft TS24. We rebuilt that console from the ground up. We rebuilt the power supplies, we pulled the modules, we re-chipped it, we recapped it. Bob Schuster helped me a lot with that board. Pro Tools has always been pretty much our multi-track, digital multi-track of choice. I also use Ableton Live. I write all my music in Ableton Live. I love it. It's one of the best writing tools. But I always wind up going back into Pro Tools to mix everything. I'm just very used to Pro Tools and I love mixing in it. So in October of 2012, Hurricane Sandy hit the East Coast, and we got as much as we could out of the studio. Obviously, Kim and I could not lift a 600-pound mixing console and a lot of other gear that was down here. We got our computers out and a couple of things, but unfortunately our recording studio was annihilated. We had 5 feet of water. It was devastating to lose something that we're so passionate about. We were lucky enough to get a grant from the SBDC to rebuild our business. That's how Ocean Analog came about. SoundNet had been the name since we started the studio in our house, but we wanted to drop that and start fresh and new, and Ocean Analog is what we call the studio now. We have a brand new Audient console from England. It's a very clean, musically sounding console with amazing EQs. It's inline. It's a world-class console in a smaller frame. We bought a whole bunch of mic pre's, Millennia, API. We bought the API mix bus compressor. The concept of the studio is analog in, analog out. We basically use the digital multi-track as the tape machine. Going through all tube mics, tube mic pre's in this console, you're warming it up and making it sound old school right at the beginning.
A lot of the younger kids are learning how important analog is to the sound of music.
You know, we mix in the box, but we also mix in the console, and then we throw everything again out through the API mix bus compressor. Some of the people I've worked with is Joan Jett and the Blackhearts, Billy Joel Band, Dee Snider from Twisted Sister, Zebra, Taylor Dane, the Fat Boys, Scatterbrain, Public Enemy, Run DMC, MC Search, Third Base, OC recorded in my studio, Large Professor. I mean, you know, the list goes on and on and on. I've been very fortunate and lucky to work with some amazing artists like that, and I've learned from every one of them. I guess our goal at Ocean Analog is to keep alive the original concepts of recording and mixing and teach a newer, younger generation what it was like to come into a studio with an engineer and a real mixing console and real outboard gear and real microphones. And all they had to think about was just being an artist. You know, one thing that I found when working with software originally was until you really got to know the software, it would get in the way of your writing, it would get in the way of your creativity. That even goes in the analog world. When you have a great engineer that you can rely on and trust, that knows the equipment, knows how to get the sounds that you're looking for, and you could just walk into a place and be the artist, there's nothing like that. I guess that's something that we're trying to bring back. If you're on Long Island, New York area, and you want to come out to the beach, we're right on the beach. I will tell you this, most people today have digital audio workstations of their own. If you're in a band, this is a great place to do your tracking. Because of the mics and the mic pre's in the console, it'll give you a sound that you just can't get out of a normal rig. Me personally, I specialize in live rock music, and in the last few years I've actually done a couple of jazz records, and I love doing jazz records. It's great to be back online, and I think we're really looking forward to the future of music. This is an exciting time. So that's what's going on here at Ocean Analog. Appreciate you watching the video.